share, and subscribe. Please and thank you.
True or false, you heard? True, false. You could be false or true. You could be true or false. Know what I'm saying? Who are you?
I see the comments now predicting which way the wind goes. Long as you open the window, who cares which way the wind blows?
Is it true or false? I said true or false. Is it true or false? I said true or false. Is it true or false? I said true or false.
What is going on, everyone? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to own some land? Have you ever wanted to be the mayor of a town? Are you tired of following the rules and dancing for the man? Want to make your own rules and be the man? Well, if you said yes to all of those, this list is for you. There are towns in the United States that are for sale. I'm not kidding. You can buy an entire town. Some are abandoned, some are not, but they're still for sale. It does sound weird that a town might be for sale, and I get it, but people have actually bought towns when they went up for sale. It's the entire town. School, general store, all the property sold. So this type of thing does happen, but there's plenty still for sale. Let's take a look. Swett, South Dakota, in the 6-acre town on the southern border of South Dakota, and it's also said to be haunted. Swett was founded in 1931 by a farmer whose last name was Swett. No ego there, the dude's just out naming towns after himself, kind of weird, but okay. The town sale became international news. I guess anytime you're gonna sell a town, people want to know about it. There's nothing to do here except drink. Luckily, the only business in town is a bar. Currently, the town has 10 residents listed living in, if you call it downtown Swett.
To disappear. I have zero tolerance for you fucking people.
Please get some guest book signatures. Let's not forget about the guest book. Let's really help that guest book out right from the gate. Let's just go ahead and just really pump that guest book up and really help out my analytics, please and thank you.
Okay, we've invented a dismal burger. As you can see, it's a combination of art and food. It actually smells quite strange because we've got melted Stilton in it. Sort of crossover between art and food. Makes you think, shall I eat it or shall I throw it away or frame it? Obviously people are sheep, and because it's got the Banksy hashtag of dismal, they will eat it. Hopefully after a while it'll evolve into art because it will go moody and stuff, and then it'll be worth a lot of money. But eventually it'll decay to nothing and be worthless. A bit like our very own future. I'm going to take it into the gate and see if I can get it in the exhibition now. And be worthless. A bit like our very own future. And be worthless. A bit like our very own future.
Poker face, poker face. Poker face, poker face. A little gambling. It's fun when you're with me. Oh, 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 oh. I'll get 'em high.
Alan, we made day 2, so well done.
It was a struggle, mate, but I got there, yeah.
What a roller coaster you've had.
I've been yo-yo to them, like. Up to 40, down to 20, and about 20, yeah, so. But when I come back, give it a bash.
Yeah, well, it's a brand new day, brand new redraw, so what do you do Saturday? Just find hands and
I think with the blinds getting bigger and the antes being better, I think I'll go into a shell, all in off phone. Yeah. That's my opinion, all in off phone.
Excellent stuff. Well, it's nice seeing you on day 2.
It's great to be back in your little country again. Looking forward to staying here till Saturday now.
The champion of just about every Eastern European bloc country, that is for sure. Alan, nice to see you, and we'll see you on day 2.
Thanks so much.
Well done.
8:25. It's a Jack the Lad father and son team and a floundering restaurant by the sea.
You're serving crap food. And you're actually having a laugh.
But is owner Alan capable of salvaging the business?
Did you tell the chef? No.
This is Luke's decision.
It wasn't his decision.
Well,
I'm not a yes man. I was saying my opinion.
Okay. Alan, I want you to take control of this place. You decide what's right and what's not right. And the Nook and Harbour is sinking fast. But I can't be the captain of this ship.
True or false, you heard? Huh? True, false. You could be false or true. You could be true or false. Now, who are you?
I see the comments now predicting which way the wind go. Long as you open the window, who cares which way the wind blows?
Is it true or false? I say true or false. Is it true or false? I say true or false. Is it true or
True or false, you heard? Huh? True, false. You could be false or true. You could be true or false. Know what I'm saying? Who are you?
I see the comments now predicting which way the wind go. Long as you open the window, who cares which way the wind blows?
Is it true or false? I say true or false. Is it true or false? I say true or false. Is it true or false? I say true or false.
Believe it or not, thanks to my book.
Once upon a time.
Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book.
Once upon a time.
Then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping.
Once upon a time.
Believe it or not, thanks to my book. There's no blurry image. There's no child in the bed. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but the blurry image, I don't know what that is. And then all you guys that have sent in some money to help sponsor the book, because it costs like thousands and thousands of dollars to have a book done. You know that, don't you? Self-published. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but thousands and thousands. No, we haven't got someone paying me to publish it like they're pretending, the hate channels. No. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book, self-publishing, and it costs a lot of money. And you guys that want to help have sponsored the book, and your name will be in the book. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book, you can go to the right if you want, have a look around, and help us out if you feel like it. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book, or you can pre-order a book. It's like thousands and thousands of dollars. So I think just this first book, if I can get enough people to understand what I'm saying and believe it, then we're there. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book.
Once upon a time.
I'm going to carry on for a bit, so I'll let you go. Thanks for that, Bubbles. That's good. I'm feeling better, a lot better. Yeah. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. There we go, guys. Just a few smatterings of what we believe. I don't know what to call it, really. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. Policing. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. Pressure. I'm his supper. Well, for me, it's early night. For me, it's only 11:45, so I'm all right for a minute. Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, I've got my water, I've got my vitamin C, I've got my new shirt, and just a bit. The book's coming on well. We're getting there. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. Hopefully, it's all on target at the moment. That book's going to make a lot of difference, you know. If we get I call them my columns of my theory out. I mean, the columns I've got that I think have been proven, believe it or not, thanks to my book. Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping. Or that the girls were alive the next day. Believe it or not, that took 2 years to get out there. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. I think most people now agree the girls were alive the next day, apart from someone in the kitchen who says everybody died in the house, and a rocket guy who says everybody died in the house. Everyone knows, like, they're ridiculous. Other than that, I think everyone else says that children were alive. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. So that was column 1, and column 2 was, believe it or not, thanks to my book. Nobody died in the house. We proved that with the dogs, both here in the UK and America. We proved that nobody died in the house. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. I think that's the column of truth. I think the red car is now widely understood that there was a red car because you can see it. And it wasn't Betty because she wrote to us and said she turned left. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, this red car went straight up Steeple Drive at 100 miles an hour. Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping. Something like that. So that wasn't Betty. That was a red car. I think that is a column. And I think the dogs alerting down the road to the safe house is a recent column. I think that's hard to dispute because the dogs found no smell of death in the house. Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping. Flip-flop was scented down the road, meaning could that have been a safe house that Chris always said? What did he say? I think they've been kidnapped, and everybody took him as lying. What if they were kidnapped? What if he was appealing to get them back? So I believe that's a column of truth. And I think that will do for the first book, with the shadow under the truck. I think that's the first book. I think that's enough for the general public to take in. If they take that in, the case changes. If they take that in. And then just last week, with the help of one of our subscribers, Betsy, we discovered on Shanann's phone that the girls weren't even in their beds. So Chris's confessions from Denver and Wisconsin are now inadmissible in court. Because both his confessions, he said the girls were in their beds. In the first one, he said Shanann killed them, they turned blue in their beds. Lie. Second one, he said they died twice in their bed and got up again. Lies. Thanks to my book. So his confessions now, when all this comes out, do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping. Stands at nil and void. I haven't got a confession anymore. There's no blurry image. There's no child in the bed. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but blurry image, I don't know what that is. So I think just this first book, if I can get enough people to understand what I'm saying and believe it, then we're there. I'm not going to argue with anyone. but believe it or not, thanks to my book, Chris killed everyone in a fit of passion. No, I'm not going to argue with anyone, but no, he didn't. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but tomorrow, with the help of my new course I'm doing, I've took a study on Chris's confession with Tammy, and you'll find that very interesting. I've sort of picked a few things out from Tammy's interview with Chris, because I've been learning about the FBI, how they work. There's a couple of very interesting points coming up. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but I won't ruin tomorrow's show now, but please watch it tomorrow. The book will give us more credibility, because none of it's conspiracy. Remember? Can be a body language person of interest, I can do it. I want to do that, but I'm also learning from the FBI how they work, and it's just, do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public, and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but Armchair Detective is a conspiracy theory. He says the ghosts were alive. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Rourke said they weren't. So then I was chastised as a conspiracy, making it up, right? I'm not going to argue with anyone, but so then Mr. Rourke says, well, actually, the ghosts were alive, and I became the truth, and he became the conspiracy. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book, no, my team didn't win at football, no. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm not going to argue with anyone, but thank you, Miss Tingby, thank you. Yeah, I'm a lot better than I was this morning. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but of course, there's a lot more to come in the next book. But let's put that there first. The first points are, I'm not going to argue with anyone. Chris says they were kidnapped. Is that true? The dogs alerted to nobody died in the house. So how did Chris kill anybody? Nobody died in the house. So he must have killed them where? Well, thanks to my book. Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public, and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book.
I have been mistreated, misrepresented, pushed around, labeled as some crazy person. So what if I get a little bit mad sometimes? Who cares? Any snoich. Armchair Detective has a secret channel, because it's super fun there. Or is it? Don't tell anybody I've been keeping a stash of Gatorade on the island. I've been pushed off the island twice now, but thank God for horny men on a gay cruise ship that were just sailing by in their thongs, and they're like, hey, do you need some help over there? And I was like, swimming in the waters. And I was down in the waters just drowning, and I was like, yes, please, please help me. I'll show you my tits. I went through some anger management on the island, and they told me I can keep my knife. The doctor cleared me to go back to the island after I buried him. I covered him and buried him. We'll go with that. Anyways, there's this string of killers on the island that has been leaving ransom letters. There's one, trying to frame me to look like a crazy person. I'm crazy in the open, okay? This crazy is all real. They were calling me Norman Bates and stuff, okay?
I'm not going to argue with anyone, but as I showed with Dr. B 2 years ago, the weather was awful. It rained. It would have washed away the raked marks. So I'm not going to argue on, but as I told you for years, animals would have dug it up. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. Do you understand how important that is? That if we can get the book out there into the public, and then follow it up with the documentary, believe it or not, thanks to my book, then we might just be able to turn the case a little bit. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, I'm hoping. Believe it or not, thanks to my book. She's only a few inches from the ground, they'd have dug it up. Did he do? He looked calm as a cucumber to me. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book. But I believe other people are out there walking around that did worse than him. Worse. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but I'm not sure that a loving father could go from loving father to killing everyone like overnight. I don't get it. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but okay, in my studies and I'm doing a course in body language and FBI, and they say that if somebody's going to lie to you, they're going to be vague. Believe it or not, thanks to my book, Chris is so vague about what actually happened at the oil field. NK is so vague about everything that I don't believe either of them. I'm not sure that a loving father could go from loving father to killing everyone like overnight. I don't get it. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book. And my I'm going to get this certificate. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this course and get a certificate so I can be a body language person of interest. I can do it. I want to do that, but I'm also learning from the FBI how they work, and it's just they set Chris up with a read technique, and that's how they work. That's fine. Chris is so vague about what actually happened at the oil field. NK is so vague about everything that I don't believe either of them. For instance, they sat him by the door. Well, everybody says, no, sit him over against the wall. No, sit him next to the door so he feels safe. There's loads of techniques they use that I'm going to reveal tomorrow on how the FBI would interrogate Chris Watt. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book, and it's not what you think. And Tammy did a lot more in that preamble for the lie detector. She did a lot of investigating. Don't forget, it's all being filmed. She put suggestions to him, and those suggestions were analysed in the room next door. I believe she trapped him into telling the truth. You just don't know when. Well, with my help of my body language I've learned and the FBI techniques, I believe I've uncovered most of what really happens. I'm not going to argue with anyone, but believe it or not, thanks to my book, and Tammy knows that, I think. He kept saying, my hands, I never touched anybody with these hands and all that, right? I believe he thought he could pass the lie detector because he was telling the truth, right? Unbeknownst to you guys, I believe he's not stupid, and he thought, well, if I just tell the truth, I'm going to pass the lie detector. No, I didn't kill Shanann. No, I didn't kill the children. What if that's the truth? What if the results of the lie detector was not actually the results? The police are allowed to lie to you. Oh, Chris, you totally failed the lie detector. So what? It's not even admissible in court. It's a load of rubbish. It's highfalutin rubbish. The only thing you can check with a lie detector is if your heartbeat goes up. That's it. You can't detect if you're lying or not. Just detects your heart rate's gone up. All this stuff about lie detectors, they don't know if you're lying or not. All they know is you're getting excited. Get a lawyer is my advice. It's called slander. It's called slander. The book's not finished. You don't know who the publisher is. I do. Do you think I would tell you the publisher? You will get your idiots to run around and ruin that publishing firm overnight. What are you doing, man? Yes, you've been hurt, but the victim card's over. And you've shown yourself in public and said these things. Now, I don't know what state you're in when you did that, but you don't look well. I advise you to take it down, because if you don't, we're going to use it. It's disgusting. I'm just an old guy, 66 years old in England, trying to run my business. You are affecting my business.
Because you're a public figure. Once you've said my name, you become a public figure in this. You should be ashamed. The minute you stood in front of that camera and used my name and made it personal, you shot yourself in the foot. You've now affected my book sales. But your victims card's gone. I've got 88,000 supporters. I've got 25 million viewers. 25 million people ask me not to stop. Are you much more important than those 25 million? The more you put me down, the more people buy my book, because you don't have a right to tell them what to do. A vindictive family coming after one man. Was it worth exposing yourself, finally, as what you are? Makes no sense, right? Until you think about money. You are the ones inserting your lives into my life and YouTube. You've now identified yourself as gang stalkers. How do you look now? Look at your videos. You are causing me direct financial loss on a daily basis, and I can prove it. You have slandered me. Slander is the action of making false spoken statements and damaging a person's reputation. I'm not inserting myself in their daughter's murder. They're inserting themselves in my life and my work. I don't want to talk about the parents. I'm talking about the murder case. You choose to try to destroy me and me only. You hide behind it for 2 years, pretending it's other people as well. Well, now you've come out. Now you've been flushed out and you've used my name to drum up hate against me. You've done it. We've got the video. Even if you delete it now, it's too late. You slandered me in public. I am losing money daily because of this hate campaign. I've got 88,000 supporters. Imagine how many I would have if I was left alone. 200,000? I'm good at what I do. And this inspired Mr. R to come on the channel and try to, don't know what he's trying to do to Bubbles, but she asked not to speak to anybody, but they brought him on. He went on and anyway. So then the next day, what happens?
Yeah, Bubbles, look. Look, this is what we miss every day of our lives.
See, look, Bubbles. Imagine that your family on the wall that you will never see again.
That's all we have. It's pictures and memories. And you people talk about them like they're nothing.
I didn't think one family was allowed to run YouTube. I don't know when that rule came in. I've never seen it. And you think me, right? I'm a YouTuber. YouTubers like don't F with cats. They've sold loads of crime. Normally they get some thanks. I get no recognition. Mainstream media pretend it didn't happen, and the parents actually hate me. I've lost me 3 TV shows so far. It's like there's no intelligence, is there? If you want me to stop, the best thing to do is leave me alone, and I'll go on to another case. Well, you're making it worse by this, where you look, 1,000 people here knowing what you've done now. How does that help you? You go on Netflix. How does that help people stop talking about the case? You go on Dr. Phil. How does that help people stop talking about the case?
True or false, you heard? True, false. You could be false or true. You could be true or false. Know what I'm saying? Who are you?
I see the comments now predicting which way the wind go. Long as you open the window, who cares which way the wind blows?
Is it true or false? I say true or false.
Poker face, poker face. Poker face, poker face. A little gambling is fun when you're with me.
Alan, you made day 2, so well done.
It was a struggle, mate, but I got there, yeah.
What a roller coaster you've had.
I mean, yo-yo to them, like. Up to 40, down to 20, and now about 20, yeah, so. Okay, we've invented a dismal burger. As you can see, it's a combination of art and food. It actually smells quite strange because we've got melted Stilton in it. Obviously people are sheep, and because it's got the Banksy hashtag of dismal, they will eat it. Obviously people are sheep, and because it's got the Banksy hashtag of dismal, they will eat it. Obviously people are sheep, and because it's got the Banksy hashtag of dismal, they will eat it. Hopefully after a while it'll evolve into art because it will go moody and stuff, and then it'll be worth a lot of money. But eventually it'll decay to nothing and be worthless. A bit like our very own future. I'm going to take it into the gate and see if I can get it in the exhibition now. And be worthless. A bit like our very own future. And be worthless. A bit like our very own future.